What is Cassandra? The first question, right? So Cassandra is very simple. It is a web free and open source distributed wide column store NoSQL database. Who behind this? So original authors are Avinash Lakshman and Prashant Malik. Malik initially developed Cassandra at Facebook to power the Facebook inbox search feature. And Facebook released this Cassandra open source project on the Google Code in 2008. Okay. But what happened, right? In 2008, they released this open project in the Google Code. And in 2009, Apache bought this project. So currently also this Cassandra is under the Apache. Should know. So there are so many facts you should know why Cassandra is so. SoundCloud uses the Cassandra to store the dashboard of the users, and also Netflix uses the Cassandra as their backend database for their streaming services. One of the best feature is there in the Cassandra is the streaming purpose. We can use a lot. It's the best now. Even in the latest versions of the Cassandra, they're more focused on the streaming services only. It is really good. And Apple uses the 1 lakh Cassandra nodes. This news is very little old news, but yeah, but 10 years back, I mean, not 10 years, 8 years back only, Apple was decided to use this Cassandra nodes a lot, right? And also Uber uses the Cassandra to store around 10,000 features in their daily updated company-wide feature. And even Discord, it is also one kind of app. So this is recently they switched to the Cassandra to work on to their database management. And Cisco, especially like they uses this WebEx to store the user informations, especially like when you recording the data and all, right? The feed, users feed and activity in the real time, all this information they're going to use. So these are the 4 things you should know: the scalability, consistency, and fault tolerant, distribution design, and data model, and dynamo style kind of replication model. Okay, so replication model in the sense, if there is anything issues happen, and we should have some backup to provide the solution or response to the user request, basically, of the Cassandra. So let's talk about one by one. Then first one is the fault torrent. What is a fault torrent? Let me take some example here. Cassandra is the fault torrent. Suppose there are 5 nodes in a cluster. So each node has a copy of the same data. If any one of the node is no longer serving, then other 3 nodes can serve the request. For example, you have 4 nodes and one of the node is not responding to the user request. Other nodes will do that response, because we are going to store the data here. Duplication, there is a duplication here. We are going to store the same data into the multiple nodes. So our aim is to give a response to the user whenever user is requested. So that's where we can maintain the load balance and everything. And it follows the rigid architecture, means the Cassandra has not only single point of failure, it is continuously available for the business critical applications that cannot afford a failure. So there is no failure, guys, here. 99.99%, there is no failures. It always be responded to the user's request. Okay, even some server is down with one data center, other server will pick up and respond to the user. Basically, that is how it is built on it. Okay, so next one is high scalability, right? So Cassandra is high scalable, which facilitates you to add more hardware to attach more customers and more data as per the requirement. You can add more servers to this. That is highly scalable. And it also stores this data a lot. Flexible data storage means it, as I told you some time back, Cassandra supports all possible data formats like structured, semi-structured, and unstructured. And you to make changes to your data structures according to your need, but Cassandra supports the various types here. Okay, and more important thing is it is a linear scalable. Linear scalable means so there is a difference between the horizontal scalability and the linear scalability. So linear scalability means it increases your throughput because it facilitates you to increase the number of nodes in the cluster. If you want to increase the some number of servers in the node, we can use it, but the response time is always faster here. Linear scalability. Okay, and one more important thing is it is you can use any cheap hardware systems also. to connect with this. Even small configuration systems also we can use. It works very well. And it supports the asset properties, atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. Because basically, if you know relational databases queries, like select star from the table name, and insert queries and create tables, same thing we are going to use it here. Okay, but little difference is there. I will talk about that. Okay, let's talk about more about Cassandra here, which is very important slide, guys. So let's have a look into it. So first one is the DataStax Studio, and next one is SQL, that is called Cassandra Query Language. Next one is the Cassandra Query Shell, and the last one is the components. So DataStax Studio is nothing but a GUI, graphical user interface for the Cassandra database. But for your information, we can use there are so many tools out there for NoSQL databases, but the DataStax Studio is one of the preferred GUI. And a SQL is Cassandra Query Language, but in Cassandra we use a separate query language. It's called the Cassandra Query Language Shell. Okay, if you want to write a command, if you want to write a queries on the command prompt, we can go for this Cassandra Query Language Shell. I will tell you that how to use it in shortly. And last one is the components. Let's talk about the components, guys. So yeah, the shell query language, this is GUI. So I think this is what I was talking about. DataStax is the GUI, SQL is the query language, and SQL SH is the shell and components. Let's talk about the components now. Please, terminology here to understand better way. Cluster. Cluster is kind of an ecosystem. It's kind of you can have the multiple clusters also. Okay, but each cluster can contains the multiple data centers like 1 and 2, 3, 4, and n, and each data centers can have the multiple nodes. When I am saying the node means it is a server, guys, server instance. So each data centers I can keep multiple servers. When I say server means what? It's nothing but again one CPU or one CPU we are going to use it basically, right? So the cluster, inside the cluster there are data centers. Each data center is having the nodes, and each node is considered as the server instance, and each server instance is going to store the data. Basically in this Cassandra we are going to store the data into the tables. Okay, again it is a table form only, but like column based tables, not the row based tables. It is a column based tables. I will show you. And what are these four things you are seeing at left on the right side of this? There are four important topics: commit log, mem table, and the last one is actually that is a cache. That is here also I mentioned about the mem table. So we can say that that is a cache. Okay, so you can see the commit log, which is very simple. You are going to write a data into the table. So each and every write operation is going to be written in this commit log. It's nothing but log table. So where it is every write operation is going to be logged into the commit log. For example, you are storing a data into the cluster data center 1 and node 1. There is some data you are going to store. For example, customer information, you are storing it. Of course, that customer information also will be stored into the other nodes as well. But when you are storing this information, there should be one log. That log is written in this commit log. It's a table. Okay. So commit log is a crash recovery mechanism. Every write operation is written to the commit log. And the mem table, which is memory resistant data structure. After once you commit this log, and the data will be written to this memory table. So for single column family and also for the multiple memory tables. So we can write it here. So it's very simple. When you're writing a query, when you are inserting the data, that should be always logged into the commit log. And after that, if you are okay, then finally it will be stored into the memory table. So because this is how the failure recovery can be achieved. Once the memory table is done, and finally we are going to store this data into the disk space. SS table is like it is a disk file to which data is flushed from the memory table when it contains to reach the threshold value. So when it reaches the threshold value, finally it will store into the disk space. Here again, I mentioned the mem table. It is not mem table. Consider it is a Bloom filter. What is a Bloom filter, guys? It's one of the Bloom filter is like it's kind of a cache. It's like a memory. It is a special kind of a cache. The Bloom filters are accessed after every query. For example, you are selecting the customer information or like model information, product information, any information you are trying to get from the database, this Bloom filter can be used. It's just like to get the data and storing into the cache and show to the user. Okay, this is a very, very, very important thing you should know about how the clusters. So everybody thinks like data center is the big term. No, the cluster is the big term. Under the cluster, we have the data centers. Under the data centers, we have the nodes. Under the nodes, we have the tables. Of course, when I talk about the Cassandra, we have the different types of what I can say that column wide range tables, and again commit log, mem tables, SS table, mem table. So this is the Bloom filter. Like this, we have the data. Now, question is, what is the setup? How we can do that, and all I will tell you. Here are three important points you should know. The first one is JDK must be installed. Second one is if you are using the SQL SH like a shell, if you are going to use it on Python, so Python 3.6 onwards, it's going to be supported. Less than 3.6, it won't support. Like if you want to use the shell with respect to the Python, it won't support. But the older version of the Python 2 can be supported. But anyway, we are not using the Python 2 nowadays, right? So only Python 3. So that is one thing. And the last one is recently, last year only, this Cassandra is released at the 4.4.x version. But they're saying that you can also use the Java 11. It's on your own. Information is on as on date. I actually pulled it. Only this slide is I actually pulled on today date, and you should remember this experimental support on Java 11. Okay, and moving on to the next one. So current stable version is 3.11.9, and as per the 4th November 2020 and 2 months ago, and this is we can use it, but you can install it. We are going to use this version also in our local computers. And the next one is what is the SQL? Mostly we talk about in this SQL, right? SQL stands for the Cassandra query language, and the SQL is a simple interface for accessing the Cassandra database, and is one of the most it is almost like alternative language for the SQL structural query language. It's almost all. So next one, Cassandra provides a prompt Cassandra query language shell that is called SQL shell. If you want to use the shell, you can use this SQL shell. If you are using the Windows system, you can go and type in the Windows search SQL shell. There will be separate prompt can be opened and you can use it. The people even who are using the Unix and the Mac, and you can go and type in the terminal SQL SH, and that should be fine. Okay. So Cassandra, this is a very advanced concept. The last one, Cassandra collections are used to handle the tasks. So Cassandra uses the internal data structures. Cassandra uses the internal data structures. There is something called set, list, and map, and we also having the sorted list and all. Okay. Next one, supported servers. Only one server, that is Linux distributions. Okay, so I'm not talking about operating systems here. I'm talking about servers. So here, so basically it supports Linux distributions. So it is like server-oriented concept. It is server-oriented database. Okay, it's not something like okay, you and me can do something big things in our local computers. It's a beyond that basically, right? All big companies use that for the big data. Next one, Cassandra data model. And these are the key concepts you should know and understanding about each key concept. The first one is here, when you talk, so generally when you go to the Oracle databases, we create multiple databases, right? But here we create the key spaces. Instead of database, we say here key space. It's nothing but database. And each key space is called it as a container. I mean, for the data inside the Cassandra. So you can create as in that project name. Key space is nothing but a project database. So inside that we can have the tables, and that's like a column families, like rows and columns we can have it. But each key space has at least one and often many column families. And there is no relations here in Cassandra because it is not relational databases. It does not support the joins, group by, or clause, aggregations. So it is not going to support anything. But you should know something like here, key space, there is a two things here, replication factor and replica placement strategy, which is important. Replication factor means when you are creating the key space, you have to tell that how many number of missions you are going to use it. Something like a cluster environment, right? There is a cluster, data centers. For each data centers, how many nodes you are using it, you have to specify it here actually. That's called a replication factor, which is basically important, guys. So we need to mention this replication factor, how this is can be defined and all. Okay, so this is actually data model. It comes under the data model. Okay, so next one is the replica placement strategy. It is a strategy which specifies how to place the replica in the ring. There are three types of these strategies basically. I'm not talking here, but generally I'm saying that that is a simple strategy and whole network topology strategy and network topology strategy. When you use it, is depends on that. Are you using the rack system based servers, or are you using the data center based? Okay, so always think about data center here. When you're using the data center, it is a network topology strategy. So don't worry about too much on this replacement strategy. It is because of like when there is any one server is gone down, another server should pick up and serve the user's request on time without delaying it. That is the reason this replication thing comes into the picture. So how many servers you need, like how many nodes you want, what is the strategy you are using behind. Next one, just for installation, we can use Windows system, Mac and Linux, but I am proof for the Mac, but they don't tell that, okay? So next one, Cassandra ports. What is this? So every database has its own ports, right? Default port numbers and all. But if you can see here, there is a 3 port numbers for the Cassandra. Default port number is 7000, that is a 7000, which is for the cluster communications, and especially like when you are saying the SSL certifications. I think you know about SSL. SSL is a secure socket layer encryption technique. When you are passing any data through the HTTP network, we actually use the SSL. That is the HTTP. Instead of HTTP, we use the HTTPS to make the secure. Even when any website you take, the Facebook, Apple, or so even net banking websites, almost these are secure. They use the HTTPS as a protocol. So cluster communications, it is the 7000, and the native protocol clients, which is a 9042, and there is a JMX. This is for the Java. When you're using for the Java, we can use this 71999, sorry, 7199. So these are the different port numbers. Mostly we use the 7000 only. Okay, that's how these are the 3 port numbers, guys. Okay, don't confuse with that. But default one is the 7000 only. So next one is Cassandra using Python, right? Okay, I'm a Python developer. How to use this Cassandra? So just for your information, most of the Java people use this Cassandra in their projects, but we can also use Python to work with the Cassandra. But I will talk about that, which library we can use it and all. We can see it in shortly. And look at this Python drivers for Cassandra. So only one driver, that is the Cassandra driver. Okay, so we are going to use this Cassandra driver, which is recommended to use to connect with the Cassandra. And the next one is to install the Cassandra driver, we can use the pip command, pip install Cassandra-driver. So actually the module, actually this driver name is Cassandra-. I prepared one notes for you, and this all is going to helpful to you. So I will share these notes also in the Google Classroom, and it may help you. Okay, so first Cassandra official website is Apache, cassandra.apache. Next, what is the DataStax? I will talk about this in shortly. And because I told you in some time back, we can use the graphical user interface from this DataStax, which is also from the same Apache community platform only. The next one is the Cassandra GUI website. You can get it from the DataStax. And for Mac users, we can also use the DB And not only for Mac users, anybody can install this one, DB It's not only for the Cassandra, we can use multiple databases. I don't know whether I'm done with this. Let me open it. Meanwhile, I will show you that DB. Okay, I'm not put into the application. That's the reason. So Actually, you are seeing now, this is it's a community edition, a DB viewer. Any databases you can connect, guys. Not only Cassandra, you can connect to the MongoDB. I will show you. You may shock a little now. This is one is enough instead of maintaining the so many graphical user interface in your local. So, for example, if I click this button, and you can see I can connect to the n number of databases. Okay, n number of databases, Postgres, SQL Server, Apache have. I think if you know it, it is really great. And if you don't know, and try to install it, it is a community edition only. You can download it, not the enterprise edition, because that will be expired in a month, it seems. Okay, so it is a community edition only I installed, but you can see there is analytical databases, time series, embedded, Hadoop. Okay, if you want, okay, if you're not interested, don't worry, no problem. But all the databases we can connect from this DB viewer, which is one of the good tool where I can connect with the multiple databases. For example, if you want to select the PostgreSQL, but one point you should know it here, if I go and select this PostgreSQL, but it will ask you to install some jar files. So it is a mostly preferred to use it in your Windows computer rather than using in the Mac. Okay, because it needed to install some driver files to connect with that. Okay, so I'm not using it anything, but I'm just sharing this information. When you're using the Windows system, you can go and download it and connect to this. And by default, it will connect to the SQLite when you're creating the sample databases. That is about that tool. And moving to this, Cassandra Tools, I will share these tools. And for enterprises, there is a separate is there. If you are working on the cloud environment, if you want to use this um, uh, Cassandra, there is a separate Op Center database is there we can use. And also database clients are there. I will talk about this Python driver. The website is also there. We can directly from access from the DataStax. And before that, okay, this is a table, guys, how the data can be stored. Just have a look into it first. So assume that there is a name, age, gender, mobile. These are the columns you have. Just remember, this is a column-wide stored database. So you can see the name, John, robot, 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 all those robots are there. And but you look at here, age 26, 34 and all. But if you look at the gender, right? Actually, here gender is gender and the value. But there is a, this gender is repeating 1, 2, 3, 4 times. But it no need to write that, don't need to fill this data. That is the beauty of Cassandra. So you don't need to waste the memory, basically. This gender is repeated 4 times continuously in a row. This third row, fourth row, fifth row, sixth row, sorry, fifth row. We don't need to worry about this. You can say that star 4. That means including that row, 2, 3, and 4, this can be filled like this. So that means you can save the memory, right? This cannot be occupied. This data cannot be filled with anything. So that's where at least we can save the memory. And remember, it is not structured based. We can store the structured based data and also unstructured based data. It's up to you how you can use this table. Mostly we use for the unstructured. Sometimes we will go for the combination, structured, unstructured, and semi-structured. It depends on that basically, right? Okay. So moving to their official website, let's have look into it. I'm going to open this link from their official website. So this is the official website of the Cassandra. And so already here, which are the companies that are already using it? The information is there. Go and have is already proven database. And fault torrent means when there is something is happened, right? Replication across the multiple data centers is supported. And if any failure nodes can be replaced with no downtime. So that is a beauty. So means no downtime is required. So we can work on it because another the data copy is there in the another servers. Someone asked me this question some years back: how Google is maintaining the downtime? We never seen the downtime, right? Google search engine. Maybe 1 or 2 times there is other issues. Google authentication issues are there, but Google search engine is always up and running. How? Because of they are maintaining the data centers and the clusters. So that's how it is works. If any failure nodes are there, if any server is failed, other servers will pick and run. Okay, something called like this. So Cassandra is NoSQL decentralized scalable. You can see here, this is important. Some of the largest production deployments includes Apple's with over 75,000 nodes storing over 10 PB of data. So this information, you can read it. You understand that how this can be done. This can be the big companies are using this Cassandra database. Download Cassandra, click on download, and you can see there is a beta version, stable version. Better always go for the stable version. We already discussed it in the slide, this 4.0. When you want to work on it, you can take it the latest version, that is the JDK 11, also JDK 8, and that's how we can get it this. And Cassandra 3.0 is supported until 6 months. After that, 4.0 will be released. So you can look at this dates. November 4th is there. So we need to be very clear which version you are using it when you are working on it. Installation and all is there. For the Linux people, it is easy to do it. We can install it directly, or we can also clone the you can use the git clone and you'll get the entire copy into your local. Then also you can go to the bin folder and also you can work on it, this Cassandra. And for example, I will take you to the documentation for the clear installation steps and getting started. Click on this getting started and installing the Cassandra. Just click on it. You can see here, you'll get some interesting information. Cassandra runs on the wide array of Linux distributions, including but not limited to. There are so many: Ubuntu, CentOS, and Amazon Linux, Debian versions like that. There are different things are there. But the prerequisites is Oracle Java Standard Edition 8, OpenJDK 8. And that's how this is there. But experimental support of Java 11 was added in the Cassandra 4. You just look at this. They are also telling that it's on your own risk. That's up to you. And installation method, okay, you can use it the root folder also in your local and work on it. But this is how it is there, guys. You need to check what is the Java version you are using it. Then you can download this one by using this command. Okay, so try to do it this one. If anybody is facing any issues during the installation, let me know. But can you do one favor for me? If anyone is installing this in your Windows system, can you please record it and share with the people in our community? It may helpful to them as well. If anybody is successfully done, before that, start recording the installing the Cassandra in your local. Just try to record it, and we'll see that if anyone facing the issues, we can see. So when you want to start the Cassandra, you have to go to this folder in your local, and whether it is a beta version or like alpha version which you are using it, then you can start it. Okay, something like this. So you have different packages they are giving. You just go ahead and check the steps. Okay, there are so many articles also there, but you have to follow first installing the JDK, something like this, and also configuring the Cassandra is there. It is very simple. You don't need to see. These are all steps are needed when you are working on the big like actual environment like clusters and servers, but it is not required at this moment. Okay. Also, we have the Cassandra query language. So the Cassandra query language, main things you should know about the data types. So these are the data types are there: ASCII, big int, blob, boolean, and all, and a lot of things are there. Okay, so almost it's a similar to the data what we are using into the Mongo. Some of the data types are like little different here, like for example tiny int and UIID. So these are a little different new data types are there, but you can have a look into it. You get to know point. Okay, so and coming to the point, so these are the same, so many tools, right? I will share these links. You can open any one link, you will understand. For example, I'm going to open the GUI website. Let me show you this. If you go and open this GUI website, so you can install the DataStax Studio in the Docker container prompt. I will show you. Okay, so terminal. So how to check the Java version, guys? Already before this class, already I am using it to check this one. Let me open it again from the beginning. So yeah, already it is running in my local. Okay, the server is running. To start the server also, we have the document. Everything I am giving in this, you see, even if I miss something, all these steps are mentioned here. You can go to these websites. I'm talking about exact their websites only. So follow their documentation is more than enough. Okay. So now, for example, I want to know the Java version here. How to know about Java version, guys? Can I use the command called Java space -version center? So currently I'm using the JDK version 1.8265. So Java version is there. And if I want to open these things, okay, you can enter this. So SQL means Cassandra Query Language Shell. And right now it is connected to the test cluster. Okay. So as I told you, cluster is the one. Cluster contains the data centers contains the nodes, something like this. So the shell version is this one, but Cassandra I'm using the 3.11.8 because I think last year only I installed in this computer, but in older Windows systems are all using the older versions basically. Yeah. So this is how it is there. But if you want to know more information, everywhere there is a command called help. Everywhere in the sense, any databases, any shell commands, you can use help. These are the topics, guys. We can use this one and to create. If you want to connect to the uh, what I can say, if you want to connect to the, if you want to create key space, if you want to create these databases and all, so we can use this one. Okay. So any questions on this shell? Do you have any questions? Of course, you'll have some questions, right? Don't ask any questions here, guys. For example, I want to see the what are the key spaces are there. You can use the describe key spaces and enter the semicolon. So I have a school system. So some of the like bank, school, automobile are my even my key space also. So this school, automobile, my key space, bank. These are the four things actually I created. Okay, rest are all is by default will come. Okay, you can also create your own users. You can also create own roles. All these things are there. Okay, so for example, if I want to connect to the any one of the key space, then we can use the use command. For example, I'm using the use. For example, go to the automobile and give this automobile enter. But when you enter, it expected the semicolon. So you can enter the semicolon. Now you are into the automobile. Okay, you are into the automobile. Then after that, everything is okay. Everything is okay in the sense normal commands only. Select star from and some tables. Okay, I want to know the tables. Then how can I note the tables? So I don't know the tables here, Raja. How can I know? It's very simple. Go and write describe tables and enter. There is only one table here. So what I'm going to do, right? I want to get the information from this. Select star from table. So queries are same like SQL queries only. First, only one concept is different is creating the key space. That is the only difference is rest are all is same only. But the architecture level, this concept is the huge. But looking at the writing the queries and all technical way, it is almost not a big deal. Okay. So now I want to extract, get the customer information. Just enter all this customer information is there. The customer ID, customer city, customer mobile, customer name, customer paid, something like this. Okay, something like this. So Raja, can you please describe the customer? Okay, so I'm going to use the describe, and this is the one table which I have it. I'm going to describe it. Just put the colon. You can see this is how the table I created the in my local. Okay, so how I created. So if you want to create a table, this is a create table, and automobile is nothing but key space and dot table, and next of all is you already know about this. Already know about this. There is a bloom filter when you are getting any information. I told you sometime back in the slide. When you are retrieving the information from the database, this bloom filter is going to be actually called. So it's like cache memory. It's like cache basically, right? It's caching. That's how it works. And rest of all information is there. Maybe one, how many nodes you are using it, what is the index interval, like what is the time which is got. All this information you can get to know from this itself. What is the minimum threshold? What is the maximum threshold? This information will be there. Maybe this is our local computer information, but when you are using it in the clusters, the information little more bigger. Okay. So you can also create a key space here. We can also delete a key space. Let's create a key space first, and we'll see anything. So key space is something like it is an object that is used to hold the column families. So user-defined data types we can use. Key space is like a RDBMS database. If you want to compare, keep in your mind, key space is equal to in the relational database. It is like a database. Okay, so that's how basically we use. For example, I want to create my own key space. You can use the create key space. Okay, and in the key space, we can mention some key space name. Assume that, okay, I'll go with the person. Okay, instead of person, I can say SCM, supply chain management, or any name you can give. Okay, so next one is with keyword, and the replication we need to mention. Okay, if you go to the diagram, sorry, in the slide, I mentioned about we have to mention the replication, guys. Replication is something is very important. So replication equal to, then that is a dictionary. So you know that, let me show you the slide, just one minute only, where I mentioned that key space. Yeah, here, this is the data model. The key space is the container, and we have replication factor and replication strategy. These two things we are mentioning. So when you're going to create a key space here, it's the database. You can assume that way, and with the replication equal to, so inside that you can mention the what class you, it's a class, and in single quote close and colon, and you can open that. That is a simple strategy. So you may first time when you are working on it, you may little doubt about this, but no problem. You have to follow the documentation. You can create it. So first one, we need to mention the strategy, or like you can mention the replication factor. Anything is okay. I mentioned the how many nodes I want, but when you're going to talk about the any key value, the key is always in the lower cases. So these are all like predefined attributes. Replication underscore factor, and that spelling is wrong. Anything is wrong, I will write. I will create it again. So colon. For example, I want 4 nodes. Okay, or 5 nodes or 5 servers. Something you can mention here, and finally you can close the dictionary. Okay, and you can put the semicolon, because semicolon is important. It's a mandatory when you are running the SQL query. That means so. SQL means your Cassandra query language queries. So let me check any spelling mistake or something. Create key space SCM with replication is equal to class colon. Yeah, I think this is, let's see this, if any issues there, we can fix it up. So it is created, SCM is created. If I want to see this, what is the command, guys? Describe key spaces, right? If I go and enter here, I got the SCM. If I want to use this, use and SCM, right? Semicolon is important. I'm into SCM. If I go and use describe tables, okay? So what is the command? Describe tables. So there is no tables here. So it's an empty. If I want to create a table, what is the command, guys? Anybody tell me what is the command to create a table in SQL? Create table, table name. Then you can mention the column names and everything. So it is normal table only. Any questions here? Anybody have any questions? Do you have any questions here? So let me create a table for you. So create table. So create table. Table name is the product. I'm going to create a table name is the product. So inside, this is a normal query, SQL query I'm talking about. And we can take this product underscore ID, comma, or like, so we have to mention the name here, integer, right? It is always, and it's a primary key. I'll write here in the uppercase just to make sure that we are following exactly the product ID and the product name, and we can give this name underscore name. This is a text, and the next one is a product cost. So every time, no need of writing the product name, product cost, no, just I'm writing the cost, and you can mention the variant, something like this. Example variant, and if you want to mention the product delivery date, all these things we can mention. I don't want to go for that much here. Let's close this and put the semicolon. So table is created. Now I'm going to describe these tables. You can see if the product is there. If I go on this select normal SQL query only, give this name, select star from the product, and enter. So there is no any information. But I want to insert the data, then you can use the insert command. So insert into, what is the table name? The product. So what is the query, guys? Anybody knows about this query? What is the query to insert the data?
A column name and then values.
So let me give you the column names here. It's a very quickly. I entered any wrong spellings here. The product underscore ID, and next one is the cost. Next one is the product underscore name. Okay, this is how it is there now. So this is into the values of, right? Am I correct? So I'm just giving this 1 comma, then cost is $230 or something like this. The name is, for example, uh, Samsung phone or something. Samsung mobile, just like that, guys. Okay, I'm going to enter here semicolon. So I'm done with this. And I'm going to enter here. I got the Samsung mobile information. It's a normal SQL query only, right? Okay, fine, Raja. But something I'm going to give a little assignment to you. Okay, just think about this. Don't write anything practically not possible. What if I want data? How can I come to know this data is coming from the which node? See, this is coming from the different nodes. From the which node I am getting this data? Is it from the server 1 and server 2? How can I come to know? Can I use the describe? Okay, give the table name. What is the table name here? The product. So I'm going to give the table name is the products column, and we'll come to know that which server. But rise of now we are not configured, but we'll come to know from the which server and all. So what is how many seconds it's taken? What is the interval? All this information we can see. Okay. Any questions? See, using this one is easy, guys. It's not really tough, but understanding the concept is only main important thing in the Cassandra. Okay, for example, if you want to use it in the database, for example, if you want to use it in the database, like with the Python driver, you just click on this link. Anyway, I will share with you. Okay, so getting started, this is the commands we can write. Excuse me. So we can install the pip install and all. Still, this is not understandable for you. If you want to create this one, we need to create a connect function and give the space, key space and all. Let me go and create very simple 2 lines of code. So for example, Cassandra driver, Python, right? Okay, this is the one, Python driver. So just copy this code and go to the any file here, just create here, open folder, and I'm writing here Cassandra DB, enter and open this folder here. So I'm going directly here. I'm going to install this Cassandra, but already I think it is installed in my system. If not, anyway, we'll try to do it now. Go to the terminal. So I'm deactivating this, the current environment. So I'm using the pip install, but since I have the 2 Python versions, so I'm using the pip 3. Just go for it. Okay, Cassandra dot clusters. What is the next one? Is the cluster is not coming. Yeah, cluster session is equal to cluster. So this is how you have to write when you are working on your local. This is fine. But after that, we need to connect to the particular key space. So how to connect a key space? It's very simple. So we can say that this is a cluster name I will give, but session I will create for the database. Okay. So that is the correct way we can give session DB equal to, then we can say that CLR, which is a cluster dot which database you are connecting it. So that's where like connect. So, but you can see there is so many functions here. Connect timeout, connect class, all these things are there. So connect is a very common function we use, right? Now what I'm going to do, right, connect, and in this connect we can give the whatever the key space you created. What is the key space we created a few minutes back? SCM, supply chain management, right? So we can give SCM, but I'm giving in the uppercase letters. But whenever I created that as I've given in the lower cases, let's see this what's going to happen. So now I'm going to print this session. If the session is some memory is created, object is created, means that's successfully connected. Otherwise, there will be a problem. So I'm going to execute this code. The cluster unable to connect to the any server using the key space. So because I've given in the uppercase letters. So let me give in the small case. I'm going to execute this. Object is created. Okay, very simple. So previously we got an error. Hey man, you are trying to connect with the uppercase letter SCM, but I can't able to connect. because the keys, it is not available, host is not available. Now I am giving the small letters SCM, I'm able to connect it. The session is established, object is created, right? So if I want to get the data from there, it's very simple, and we can use this session DB dot.
But here we don't have given like the port number and the localhost IP. And
By default, it will take, if you want to, if you think like, okay, Raja, this port number is not given, there is a, we have to use it inside that in square bracket. You have to mention in the list. Let me show you. So this is how we can mention, but we are not mentioning because by default we'll take the local host and default port number. Even we are discussing the same thing in the Postgres also. MySQL is also same. Something if you are not given direct, it will connect to the default one. If you are giving any specific to the host number, you can give it into the list, Python list, put it as a strings. Makes sense, right? So that's why. Otherwise, you can keep it as a normal constructor. It's not parameterized constructor. Here in this, it's a default
yeah,
constructor we are connecting, and parameterized constructor means you can pass the entire information, even port also there. You can pass the port, you can pass this SSL network and all. But I am not using it because by default it will be connected. Okay, if in case, if you think, okay, if you want to change the port number equal to, I'm giving the 8000. If I go and execute this code, it's saying that, man, there is an error, 8000 is not connected. Okay, so what if I'm going to give here 7000, go and save this, go and execute this code. So still it is not saying 7000 is not connected. Do you know why? If I'm not giving this 7000 also port here, now I'm going to execute this code. Do you see what is the port number? What is an issue here? Cassandra cluster.py, at least 2 position arguments. Yeah, it's because the issue is this one. Yeah, I want execute code this one. Okay, here I'm giving the 7 port is equal to 7000 and execute this code. We are getting it, but then I'm giving the 8000 also, we are getting it. But we need to mention the local host and port number. Let me try with the local host now. What is the local host number? IP address, anybody knows? 127.0.0.1.
0.0.1.
And you have to keep this one into the strings, otherwise it is unrecognizable text. So I'm just giving the port number. Let me try this. Why it's not working? Port number is 7000. This is what we are given, and even there are so many other things also there. Load balancing, convention policy. There are other things also there. Okay. Let me see this. Unable to connect to the server. And which port number is connected? This one is it? Let me see this. I'm removing this port number. Let me go execute this code. It's connecting. I will check this one now, Amit and all. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Work even I tried. Okay, fine. So after that, if you want to execute the key space, we can use the session dot db dot then execute command. In the execute, you can pass the. You can also create a key space here also. Same query, same thing you can write, create key space, but you have to mention into the string, right? This is going to mention in the string, triple quotes. Then you can write here, create the key space. So that's where it will be created, the key space here. Create key space. And what else we can do? What is the key space name? And what is the another name? For example, I'm giving here XYZ. Example. Anything you can give XYZ. Then with the replication factor, we can say that with, and we can mention the same thing. Sometime back I given, right? Same replication. This replication, we have to mention how many nodes, how many nodes basically we are using it. So I'm using this, and it is a dictionary class, and this is simple strategy, same thing, but this is a class name, guys. The simple strategy is a fixed or like predefined class name, so we cannot give any other name because it won't allow. This is also a string, so it's separated by the comma. Then replication factor, so replication underscore factor, and so then you can give notes. I'll give the, So nodes is, for example, 4 or 5, anything. I think we are done now. This is the execute command. So what if I'm going to execute this? So do you think is any commit transaction? Nothing is like this here. Just commit, just the execute command is fine. Let me go and execute, but here I'm going to put simple print statement, so saying that done. Okay, just to make sure that without any issue. Okay, let me go and execute this code. And some spelling wrong, something key space xyz with the replication. Anything mistake I did here? Key space xyz with the replication line number alternative input. What a mistake I did. Class colon simple strategy, it's fine. Strategy spelling, anything is wrong here, guys? Replication underscore factor, it's an integer only. This is only class only. Space express with replication. Yeah, it's because of think equal to is missing or something like this. Go to this, it is done. Now I want to go and check into the terminal. So I'm checking in now terminal. Describe. Okay. When you say product, it won't come. So how to check the table names? Okay, describe tables. Okay. Product is there. In SCM, it is not there. Huh? Because of no data. Okay, let me go and insert some data. How to insert the data? So last one, guys, then we'll finish it off. So session DB dot execute. We need to insert the data because it is an empty. So to execute this command again, you can open the parentheses and we are going to insert the query here. Okay, so insert, it's a key space owner, right? We need to create a table here basically. So what I will do, right, I'll copy this code from this. Okay, in writing. Hello.
Yeah, you're audible.
Audible,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm going to create a table. What is the command, guys? Here, I use the command. Okay. So I'm going to use this. Just go to this, keep it here, and instead of create product, given another name, right? It's XYZ. Say that ABC. Oh my God, I did some mistake, guys. I think why you guys have not told me that, because I'm checking into the SCM key space because I created the key space, right? So I need to use the key space name.
Describe key space, yeah.
What is the key space name? XYZ, right?
XYZ.
Yeah. Now you can, we are connected, right? Or if you want to see the show, describe the key spaces also, it will show you because it is created perfectly. We are created through the Python programming basically. So now, do you see that XYZ here?
At the last, yeah.
Yeah. So that means we are able to create it. But anyway, your table is there. This table also, if you want to create it, you can say that ID and just name. And here you can say that test, something like this. Just go and execute this code also. Let's see this. Okay, now I'm going to know. But now question is, this is wrong, right? Where you are
Table name
inserting
is
this
not changed.
Yeah,
Table
where
name is not changed.
table name, I changed it ABC, but why it is wrong in the sense, what, how you can understand this is which key space it is going to be stored. I'm not mentioning the key space here. Then how? Now I'm going to check this one. Oh, sorry, describe tables. From past few days, we are working on the different different databases, right? Comments are like interchanging is little tough. So describe tables, it is not coming up in XYZ. Then how we can mention that we are inserting into the correct key space? Yeah, here I connected. Okay. For example, if I want to give the name, changing here, different name is XYZ, I can give it. Like that, it works, guys. It's very easy. Python programming easy with the NoSQL databases. It's not really a big deal. The only deal is like setting up the environments, creating the space, creating the infrastructure, and all is the thing. So, but yeah. So interesting thing is coming up. Like, so how do you think about this? Is that something you learn something new, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the takeaway from this session is three things. First thing is why we need this Cassandra database and which projects we can use. And second important thing is what is the data center, what is the node, what is the cluster, and these terminology is very important. At the beginning of this session also, I will tell you, right? So Google itself is using the different data centers and all, right? This is one I shown you at the beginning of the session only. So look at these data centers. There are different data centers are there for each region. So clusters will be like this. You can see nowadays even cryptocurrency and all they use a lot big infrastructures, right? So important, guys. In future is all about like this only data centers, clusters only. Even small companies also you'll use the same kind of infrastructure because of maintaining the data. Okay, so you'll come to know knowing about these databases is always good. But last one thing, is there any other database apart from this? This is a Cassandra is a type of column-wide database. Any other database, guys? We discussed in the databases concept at the beginning, first session, right? You can see, do you remember on the day, look at this diagram I shown you, right?
Yeah.
HBase. White column store. We are done with the Cassandra. We are done with the MongoDB. So after that, we are going to the Neo4j. And the last one is the Apache Redis. So that's where this is the CouchDB, HyperGraphDB, HBase, React. There are so many databases. Hell lot of databases are there, but we don't need to learn everything. But you should understand at least how these databases and all. So we are done with this document. We are done with white column. Next one is the graph, and after that, key value store. We are talking about these four types of databases under the NoSQL.